Hi, this is Dr. Randy Hurst. I am doing these basic education videos that, to me, have made sense to me and to many of the clients that I've seen through the years. They just made sense to people. And in making sense, they could do what sometimes wasn't comfortable in their lives, to make changes in their lives, because they understood why. And this one is about surrender or acceptance of a problem. The surrender term is used a lot in the 12-step programs. And I worked in alcohol and drug treatment for close to 20 years, then continued working with recovery kinds of issues for another 20 years. So you'll hear references throughout various videos to things that sound like AA, but I've been able to translate it into many other types of problem issues. In this case, the surrender idea is the first step in really getting that there's a problem. So, first, do you have anything that you would need to let go of that has become a problem, a destructive pattern, that if you don't let go of it, you can see the writing on the wall, or it's already happened, that you're losing relationships, maybe work, you're in trouble with the law, but especially relationships, I think. And the relationship doesn't have to be with other people. It can just be with yourself. So how I started with this idea of surrender. It wasn't just working in treatment. It was working with a particular person that I use as an example. And he has said that I can use his history as a way of helping people make sense. So this was a fellow who, I was 24 at the time. He was just 3 or 4 months older than me. He didn't come into our treatment program, but he was in the hospital for a long time because he had, at 24, he had been in a car wreck where he lost both of his legs. Actually, he smashed his right leg and his right arm, and they took off the lower left leg to put in to his right arm because that had been smashed so badly. So he woke up to having no legs. Well, yeah, that's bad. Now, the thing that's a little weirder is that at 16, he had been in a car wreck and was paralyzed. So he had been paralyzed for 8 years when I met him. At 22, he had been in another car wreck and broke both his legs. Now, all of these were drinking related. And he had enough friends in the treatment program that would go down and visit him while he was in the hospital recuperating, that he ended up, without ever actually going to treatment, ended up getting all the benefits. And then we became co-workers later because he started working in treatment after going back and getting a degree, and became extremely valuable both at the state level and with the program, because people could vividly get how it can be a problem, even if they hadn't had something as bad as he had, at least physically bad. Well, what had happened when he did get around to changing his life? What he said to me is, I needed to, in relationship to his being paralyzed in the original time, he said, I needed to let go of what I wanted. I wanted to be able to walk. I needed to let go of that. After trying, he told others that he had accepted that he was paralyzed. But privately, he didn't. He would lock himself into his room at night and push himself up and try to take a step. And he said ultimately, he benefited, so to speak, by not being able to take that step. By every time he pushed himself up and tried, he fell down. He said, if I could have taken one, I would never have let go. I never would have surrendered to the idea that I am paralyzed. I had to let go of the idea that it could be the way I wanted it to be. And then I had to get to he said, I had to get to the point of, well, what have I got left? And I worked at doing the best I could with what I had left. Now, he did all of that about being paralyzed. He became a helper at the medical center that helped newly paralyzed people. He became a kind of mentor, a paraprofessional helper. He did very well. At the same time, he didn't address the drinking at all. And so that's where he didn't do so well. So by the time I got to him, he said, I had to accept, I had to surrender that I was out of control with my drinking because I didn't want to lose any more of me. And really got after making the changes that we call recovery, but make his life better. So if you don't have something like a terrible physical thing, well, I guess really even if you do, but you have some kind of problem, if you're normal, you've resisted this surrendering. People don't do well when something bad happens. It's easy to find something or someone to blame. It's easy to feel like there's some reason that we spent too much, drank too much, used too much, got too angry. People don't get that it's a problem unless they have had a pattern that has lasted a long time. Often there's been others who have said something, who have brought it to your attention or been concerned. Just in general, we defend our picture of ourselves. And if something isn't right about that picture of ourselves, we find a different reason, not that it is the drinking, spending, smoking, whatever. So it takes a lot of instances where, oh crap, it happened again, before we'll really believe that the pattern is something I have to address. I have to let go. I have to realize things are out of control. So surrender is a kind of letting go of that past, of having good intentions to do better, but also really following through and doing better when it's hard. That's the real surrender. That no matter what, a person accepts that they need to change and don't go back to the old pattern. If you've seen other videos that talk about the fire together, wire together, our brain, which is another part that I focus on, the brain is different from us. And the brain gets these wired in circuits that can slide us into old patterns very easily. And at the beginning of making changes in one's life, the going back to the old patterns, just sliding in to the way the circuits feel right. They feel normal, even if it's destructive. So in surrendering, in completely letting go of the old pattern, the old style of doing things, a person is faced with tremendous uncertainty, especially if they've done the old pattern for years and years or decades. Many people that I worked with, they didn't even know how to act without a drink in their hand, or without using, or without being in a using situation, or with the people that they were comfortable with. What do you do with new people or new places, or without their old buddy? It's not easy. And so with that uncomfortableness, with that uncertainty, with that anxiety that can come with that, how do you go ahead and continue to follow through? That's how you know when there is this kind of real surrender, that I can't go back to that. And I have to do this new thing, even if I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Because it's the new stuff, the new behaviors that have the chance of becoming a new pattern if you do them enough. And you really, truly are rewiring part of the brain. So, this is one of the places where I really like a lot of the support group stuff. I think there can be problems sometimes, but boy, if you're around people that are making it, whether it's in support groups or some other place that you've got people who are doing what you're wanting to do more of, and that you can feel comfortable with. And that's what's so good about support groups, is that the people that are there have done the things you've done, felt the things you felt, reacted to people and to themselves the way you've probably felt. And the key is that if you do go to support groups, find one that fits your style. Up in Alaska when I was there, I used to take people to groups, and people who liked one particular group often absolutely did not like this other group. Well, they're characterized almost by their name. People gravitated to the groups partly out of their style, and the one was the clean and serene group. People who liked that group did not like the other one. It was called the save your ass group, and vice versa. It's find the people that you can connect with, that you want to be more like. Find somebody in particular. That's what they call a sponsor. But if you're not involved with support groups, if you don't have the kind of thing that support groups really fit for, find a person that you can connect with, that you can confide in, that you can use as a role model. Figure out the study guide, or what do they call it? The higher power video talks about kind of my alternative to what I saw many people do with the higher power concept. If you've got the problem, really face it. Do you need to let go? Do you need to fully change? If you feel like maybe not, you can continue how things are going, or make the changes you think you need to make, and see if it works. And if it works, that's all anybody cares about. But you're the one that's the most important in trying to figure out how you want your life to be. If you have others that are concerned, I'm sure they'd appreciate it if things changed that would be good for your relationships. Anyhow, take the surrender idea, see what you think, see if you need it, let go, and rewire that brain by doing new ways. Okay, hope this helps, and